This is Citizen Sleeper. It's created by the developers of In Other Waters, which was another game that I really liked. The thing that I like about it right this minute is that I just finished playing Turbo Overkill, which is one of those raucous, fast-moving, crazy 90s style shooters, and my hands hurt. And so I needed to go to a game that is much more relaxing and calm and slow-paced. And I think, at least my experience with In Other Waters was the game raised a lot of tense and interesting situations. It wasn't a boring game, but it was a slow-paced game. It was a relaxing game. And that's kind of what I need right now. So this is Citizen Sleeper. I'm not exactly sure what the premise is. It's kind of hard to tell. I think it has something to do with being an AI in space with a lot of control over some kind of habitable space. And I've played a lot of games that had a premise sort of like that. This seems different, though, but I can't quite put my finger on why. So I think let's just get into it and discover what this game is together. Oh, okay. So there's a character class selection. So there's an operator who works with drones and high-precision remote machines to perform complex tasks from a distance. Sleepers assigned to operator work are usually cerebral and precise people. So I got a +1 with interface, -1 with strength of will. I could be an extractor, people who work on resource extraction, often in hard vacuum environments. Sleepers assigned to extractor work are often confident, self-sufficient, have a high level of endurance. So they're good at the thing the last one was bad at, but they're bad at intuition. It looks like, are these my only two choices? Oh no, there's one in this direction. Machinist. A machinist repairs and modifies automated systems used in industrial resource extraction. Sleepers assigned to machinist work are usually diligent, careful, and structured people. So they're not good at engagement. They are good at engineering. I'm kind of inclined to choose operator just because it's the first one they proposed to me. They know about this game and I don't. And I think they probably would have put the option in front of me. That's probably the best choice for the average player. So I'm going to trust them that that's what they were thinking, and I'm going to choose this. Though, note that I think I might have misdescribed the premise of this game. I was saying that this is about being an AI, and it might still be. I can't tell if this is an AI person or if this is like a biological person with a lot of like cybernetic augmentation. They definitely talk about them being people, which, depending on your usage of people, it could refer to humans or it could refer to anything sentient. So I'm not sure if that tells me anything. And the fact that it's called a sleeper, it makes me imagine something like a person asleep in a tube running things like an AI, but it's still a human being. I'm very fascinated to find out what the actual premise of this game is. The first thing you become aware of on waking is the disconnect, the delay between thinking and feeling, between wanting to act and acting, minor, almost imperceptible, but always present. Oh, that sounds weird, actually. I don't know if you've ever played a game with input lag, but I think that's what they're describing. It feels like maybe they're suggesting that I am physically in one place, but I'm controlling something in a distant place. And so everything has got, light lag or something. It's at its worst when waking, when yourself has spent many dark hours recalling what it felt like to be real, to be a person, to be in a body that was indisputably yours. Let's think of that body. A leap into a cold lake on a hot day, the sting of blood welling up from a fresh wound, the friction of a fingertip. All of a sudden, the friction of a fingertip. The memories are closer than you thought, blurring as you approach, until you can't tell one from another. The cold slips in, behind and around you, and the sensations fade out of reach. Perhaps you should be thankful for the dulled nature of this new body, given your current circumstances. The walls of the container feel immediately present, cold, hard at your back and face, cramping your limbs. Okay, so I've got a new body I'm unfamiliar with. It's a body with dulled sensations, and I'm in a tube. You resist the desire to stretch, knowing that the claustrophobia comes next, and retreat a little from your central nervous system. It isn't painful, not like you used to know pain at least. In the emergency mode, pain is a message delivered with efficiency and ease, a reminder that harm is imminent. There's no insistent throb, no trembling nerves, just a warning delivered to the banal quality of a digital notification. Right now, there are thousands of them. Let's remember the others. You remember that there were 10 of you, 10 that could no longer stand the indentured work, the routines, the slow decay, 10 whose belief in their promised future was slowly dismantled day by day until they realized they had sold away everything they could and would ever matter, 10 that would escape, or at least die trying. Okay, so this is suggesting it's some kind of like dystopian capitalist world where workers are enslaved and like people try to hold out some image of hope in front of them to keep them going. But when you give up, you've got even worse situations you can put yourself into to escape. Some were lost in the shaft. Others never found the meeting point. Only a few made it to the containers. But the freighter, as far as you know, left. That feels like enough to know that you might no longer be on that grim and heartless rock. Even if in the airless hold of a freighter, you might freeze solid long before you reached any destination. Let's try to rest. But you're restless. It's been a long time since you left. Surely weeks, maybe months. You're dully aware of the damage to your legs, your right arm. You've been reserving energy as much as possible, but even then your body has shut many of its systems down to protect you. You have spent much of that time asleep, knowing that anything else would be impossible to endure. You feel the weight of that impossibility begin to gather. It's time to sleep again, to nudge this false body into inducing delta waves in your emulated mind, and once again recoil into a dream of when you were once a person. Rest. Time passes, the cold creeps further in. This is dark and bleak, and I like it. This reminds me a lot of some of my favorite, like, sci-fi graphic novels that I read. Things like Prophet and Ascender, and what was this one called? We Only Find Them When They're Dead. Just, like, stuff that is at the far reach of our future, where humanity is dying out, but in unfamiliar ways. Like, this, there's just a sense of, like, dread and despair, but you're this tiny little light just clinging to life in a world that is utterly unfamiliar and threatening. I love it. You feel something. Warmth. Not true warmth, but the indication of its presence. Your joints release from their rigor. Sound, too, everywhere, screeching and shimmering, so loud that your body ducks your hearing to protect its sensors. Having all these automatic... I guess we do have automatic processes like that. Your ears do dull their senses if something is too loud. It's just kind of funny to treat it like... It feels different when you're a robot. Then light, white as the cold. Then softer and softer, until in a haze of dirty yellow a figure appears. You are out. Okay. So, there's some kind of station here. And I've got a button I can push that says Dragos. I guess this is Dragos? It's been a few hours since Dragos pulled you from the container. You sit huddled in a corner of his scrapyard, swaddled in the reflective folds of a mylar blanket. You're slowly coming back to consciousness, back to life, and you stare at the ornately curving element of an improvised heater. Wait, so they pulled me out of the container? Interesting. Coalition says, wait, is this the intro, or is this the game? I think the game is going to involve some, like, actual gameplay of me making decisions, like strategic decisions. From what I saw in the trailer, I'm going to be controlling aspects of this place and making decisions like that. So it is going to be a game. Right now, it's a story setup. Oh, hey, JG Lives has also read We Only Find Them When They're Dead. Yeah, so okay, real quick. I have some quibbles with We Only Find Them When They're Dead, mostly to do with time and distance. They keep throwing stakes in the ground and, like, making statements like, we can't go faster than light because that was important to a certain scene. And we're at the edge of the galaxy because that's important. And then they put the date on something. And unfortunately, that doesn't line up. At the date that they mentioned, it's impossible to get to the edge of the galaxy at the speeds that they limited themselves to. And so I'm like, now, if they were at the edge of the solar system, that would have made sense. But they're at the edge of the galaxy, and it doesn't make sense. And so, like, I can accept it because I know, there are variants of that situation that I can imagine that work, but I'm just like, the comic drove me crazy in that one regard. I like the rest of it. I think it's great. but that part just drove me nuts. Goonbuggy says, bit pedantic. I mean, that's the thing. The story's still good. Like, I don't have a problem with the story, and so I'm not saying it ruins the story, but, like, when you know how something works, like, for instance, if whatever your job is, like, if you're a lawyer and you're reading a story about lawyers and they get something, like, blatantly wrong, we're like, well, obviously the world doesn't work that way. Even if you recognize that the story is still well told, the fact that you have some knowledge of the way the world works and it violates it in some obvious way, it kind of kicks you out of the story for a bit. It becomes an obstacle, and you can still get yourself to get into the story and enjoy it, but it boots you out. And so, like, if somebody, just got some basic thing wrong about, like, how fast cars go, like what, how long it takes to get across the United States. If you know how long it takes to get across the United States and someone has it take 30 minutes in a story, you're like, okay, that was a weird decision. Why did you do that? It's obviously impossible to cross the United States in 30 minutes unless you're Superman or the Flash. And it would kick you out of the story. Again, it could be a good story in other ways, but that bothers you. So when you know how space works and how the distances and speeds you can go in outer space, when you know how that works and that's ingrained in your head, it's similarly destructive to have a story get it wrong. If you don't know anything about that, then you'll just breeze right by it. It doesn't matter. Same way, if you're not a lawyer, you'll just breeze right by things going wrong in legal dramas because you don't know. But it does bother me because I actually do know a little bit about how space works. And so it's tough. Anyway, let's do this. You're surrounded by angular, incoherent lumps of ships, some corroded beyond recognition, others still carrying glassy wounds along their edges where a plasma arc sliced them apart. As you trace their shapes with fogged eyes, you hear a voice. So, Sleeper, are you all thawed yet? Almost. For me, talking will always be the correct answer. Never seen one of you come in like this. New frames must have better perseverance in sub-zero vac. Seen more than a few of you frozen solid to hull plates or inside outer locks in my time. They weren't so lucky. So am I a piece of cargo that has been shipped to these folks? Dragos comes into focus, shrouded in makeshift tech, his headset with its glinting eyes, the mark of a drone operator. On his shoulder, one of his symbiotically linked drones perches, its irising eye locking you with an unflinching stare. That's this little guy with his weird little spidery legs. Last living sleeper that came through this yard was a while ago. They didn't last long. You struggle to read his expression beneath the tech, but he seems lost in memory for a moment, or perhaps he's just figuring out what to do with you. I plan to survive. You aren't sure if he hears you. I won't ask what led you to do it, to sell yourself to a corporation, and I suppose you know you can't go back. Your old body, that's theirs now, and you're just software, a rogue emulation illegally possessing corporate property. You nod along. You remember biometrically signing the forms, the cold floor at your feet as you padded to the sleeper cells, the promise of a life off-world. But as you do, you get the now familiar sensation that these aren't your memories. These are things you know, but not things you feel. You're no longer that person. You're an offshoot, a copy. What you won't know is what's ahead. At least the last one didn't. There's no easy way to put it. That body of yours is falling apart. It's the same for any sleeper who makes it out. SNARP wants to protect their property, but they can't keep hold of you. But if they can't keep hold of you, well, then no one can. Okay, so I was a piece of cargo. I was created for some purpose by a corporation, but I'm somehow off track. I'm in some place where they don't expect me to be, and so they're not maintaining me. Something like that. You remember that too, or at least rumors of it from the other sleepers. Planned obsolescence, a built-in dependence on the regularly administered supplements that were part of your routine. Stop taking them and your body begins to shut down, separate from your emulated mind. How long has it been? How long do you have? Oh, okay, so they're just jerks. Got it. But for now, Sleeper, you're one of the lucky ones. Dragos glances up and away, towards the glassy dome of the yard. The Eye is the best place you can be right now. The Eye? The station. You'll see soon enough. Dragos impatiently shifts his weight. Look, I've got things to be getting on with, he trails off. There's an old freight container I've been using as storage out in the stacks. We haven't been pulling in much valuable scrap these days, so you're welcome to it. Something wells up inside of you. Emotion, fatigue. You shakily get to your feet. All right, you head on up there. You look like you need some rest. And with that, Dragos stalks back into the wrecks, his drones already converging on a rusting hulk. Plasma flashes silhouetting his spindly figure as he returns to work. Welcome to Erlin's Eye. Life on the Eye runs in cycles, during which you can talk to characters, explore areas of the station, and perform actions. At the end of each cycle, you need to head to your current home to rest. Resting will move time forward on the station. Head to the empty container location and rest to end the cycle now. So this is the empty container, and it looks like I don't have a lot of else going on here. Clicking items versus data. I've got some cryptocurrency. Great. It's that future, huh? This is the future that crypto bros want. Okay, so these are the same skills that I had advertised to me at the beginning. Plus some extra ones. But I can't really do anything with them, so I'm going to close that up again. And go to the empty container. The Coalition is saying, finally some gameplay. You know what? You all make fun of me when I don't read stuff, when I ignore lore. So now I'm all in on the reading stuff and the lore. You better enjoy it. End cycle. All right, you wake curled up in the corner of the container and begin slowly assembling the world around you. After all this time, you still find this body, the one you wake in now, strange and disjointed. Its message is readable, but somehow wrong. You sit up, pulling the mylar blanket close against the cold. Here you are on this ruined station, millions of miles from anyone you know. Are you still in the system? Did any of the others make it out? It's impossible to know. After all this, what matters? Escape, getting answers, building a life. Let's do that. I'm a hopeful person. Maybe you did get lucky, finding yourself here. Maybe here on the edge of everything, there's a life for you to build. But before you can build anything, you need to learn to survive. So Raneth Cord says, you're all in on reading now? We'll see how long that lasts. I'm all in this game, because that's what the game's about. Next game, we'll just have to see. Maybe if you can do that, survive, you can make a life for yourself. Dragos has left a few comforts in the container. The mylar blanket, the bedroll you slept on, a canister of water, a makeshift electric stove, and some faded sachets of some desiccated powder. Is it sachets? Probably sachets of some desiccated powder. I don't know what a sachet is. You thumb the power stud of the stove. Power stud. I like that word. I should make that a nickname in State of Decay 2. And begin to boil the water. The contents of the sachets smell like damp wood, and you sprinkle them into the liquid. As the pungent smell washes over you, images of your restless sleep come back to you. A ring like the station, but skeletal and ghostly. A web of threads pulling at your skin. A constellation of bright polygonal shapes, like angular suns burning into your mind. There's something unpleasantly visceral about these images, and as long as you finish drinking that, they begin to fade. You tidy away the stove as best you can and try to gather enough energy to greet the day. I just really like this image of people having to effectively camp and survive the way you would in the wilderness, but in a completely technological human space. Because it's even more difficult there. It's not like, humans survived in the actual wilderness for generations, without civilization. So it's definitely possible. In a fully technological environment like this, it might very well not be, and it might just have an end date where it's just you're gonna run out of everything, and so maintaining hope is much more of a challenge. JG Live says, if you read everything in Prey, you probably wouldn't have gotten very far in video sessions. That's actually one of the reasons why I didn't really stream Control, is because I read everything in Control, and that would not have made a very good video. We've got I think I'll probably give this game about half an hour more. So, if you don't want to hang out and watch me do a lot of reading in a game like this, that's about how long you gotta wait. I'm probably gonna, when I hit the 2-hour mark for my stream, that's probably when I'm gonna take a break, because I know how patience works. So here's a tutorial. We got condition, action dice, energy. Ooh, action dice? Is this gonna be like Tharsis? I'm very excited that this is gonna be like Tharsis. Though Tharsis was definitely a more action-packed game than this. You should watch my old videos on Tharsis. They're great. The game is great. I won't vouch for the videos. Your condition represents the current state of your artificial body. It depletes one segment each cycle. So is that this? Okay, so every cycle, my body deteriorates a little bit. And it can be damaged by violence, injury, or lack of food. If your condition bar empties, you'll suffer a breakdown. You have to figure out how to recover your condition. But they're not going to tell me up front how to do it. That's great. At the start of each cycle, roll your action dice. These dice can be used to perform actions in the station. The number of dice rolled is based on your current condition. The worst... Oh, so as this ticks down, I get less and less dice. Got it. Once you've used your dice, you cannot take any further actions and must rest to recover them, ending the current cycle. And then there's energy. This is my energy right here. You also need to eat to survive. This is represented by your energy bar. You can refill your energy bar by eating, but first you'll have to find somewhere to get food and currency to buy it. Oh, what a dystopia. Your energy depletes by 2 segments each cycle. And the segments are like this. Got it. If it becomes empty, you will become starving and your condition will deplete at a double rate per cycle. Got it. I think the developers of this definitely played Tharsis. This is a very familiar setup for people who played Tharsis. Okay, so here we are. Okay, the world subtly shifts as I move to the right and to the left with my cursor. It subtly shifts. I hope this is not making you dizzy. The problem is, what do I do? I've got no items, no data. Clicking on things doesn't do much. Leave? Leave. Here we go. Oh, okay. So I was just in my container. I need to leave to get access to other stuff. Dragos is stood in the corner. Is stood in the corner. What dialect says is stood in the corridor? Either way, when you close up the container. He is still wearing his headset, and in the harsh light of the corridor, you realize it's implanted. Just slapped onto his eyes. Gross. A drone sits on his shoulder. It's cache, of sensor eyes, rapidly irising. How are you feeling? Okay, don't worry about me. The drone chirps. Good to hear. You notice that beneath the operator's rig, his skin is marked by burns and blotches. I know the container isn't much, but it'll keep you safe. He pauses. So I'm not going to chit-chat too long. You well enough to work? Sure. All right then, he nods. At the yard, it's simple stuff. We hack these old hulls down, sell them off to the shipyards or the bright market dealers. Bright market, is that like the black market, only backwards? For cryo, which is the cryptocurrency. Occasionally we pull out some tech, some of it with a bit more value, but most of what comes in is scrap. It's hard to find good hands here, but I figure as a sleeper you'll be used to the manual labor. And obviously I'll slip you a few chits of commission based on what you turn up. Chits? These. He pulls out a handful of small metal bars. Air-walled cryo, isolated from the market. It's what we use to trade out here. He stuffs them back in his pocket. Air-walled cryo. So it's basically like hard drives with cryptocurrency on them that are not connected to the internet, and so they're just isolated, nothing can happen to them, and you can trade them around and spend them, and then later on connect them and use them somewhere else. He shuffles his feet nervously. Look, I wouldn't usually do this. In my opinion, you'd be best suited moving on as quick as you can. And sleepers, well, he trails off. But things being the way they are for me at the yard, I need the help. I'm happy to help you. Okay. He pauses, thinking of something else to add. Look, just come down to the yard when you're feeling fresher. There's plenty to do. Will do. He nods. I like being this cheerful person in this horrible dystopian world. He nods distractedly and turns and walks away. The drone hopping along ahead of him. See you later, he calls back. So I think because I chose operator, I used to be one of him in my former life. Looks like it's time to get to work. Okay, let's find out how work works. What is going on? Okay, so this is my home. Don't want to go there. This is Dragos' yard. Okay, actions are the primary way you interact with the world of Citizen Sleeper. To perform an action, click and drag your chosen action dice to the slot. Actions reward you with clock progress, energy, condition, or items, depending on the outcome. There are 3 types of outcome. A positive one, where it goes better than expected, neutral, or negative. Right. Oh, it fails. Negative means it fails. Action dice affect these outcomes as follows. This is okay, so a 6 is 100% chance of positive, 50% positive, 50% neutral. These two are 25 positive. Okay, so basically, if it's gold, it's either positive or neutral. If it's half gold and half white, it's an even chance of positive or negative. If it's white, it's going to be negative or neutral. So neutral, okay, so this is always positive. Neutral is always an option for the rest because, I mean, why would you use dice that are always negative, right? So neutral is an option everywhere else. But down here, it's like 50% chance of failure. And here, more like 25% chance. That's interesting. It's interesting that they've got dice with dice-type numbers on them, but the odds are unrelated to the act of actually rolling these dice. What an odd way to use dice but not use them as actual dice. I mean, I guess... Okay, wait. I guess you roll them to determine what the value on them is at the outset. But then after that, the value doesn't just mean the number. The value just has these specific meanings. Interesting. Okay. So, the type of an action is either critical or repeatable. Critical actions can only be performed once, but repeatable are just things you do every day. Risk is either safe, risky, or danger. So if it's safe, nothing bad, none of this bad stuff can happen to me. If it's risky, that means there could be a negative outcome to cryo or energy, like my currencies. But danger means that a negative outcome will mean condition loss. So danger means my health could be damaged. Risky means my currencies, my energy could be damaged. Skill, the skill that this action requires, and a modifier. So this is added to the action dice when slotted and improves their value. Okay, so like if for instance, my endure skill I think is low because I'm an operator. So that means that because this involves endure, I get a -1 to any dice I put in. So if I put in a 6, it actually acts as a 5. And if I put in a 3, it actually acts as a 2. Okay, got it. That's how skills work. Cool. Oh, and I'm actually on this page now. Okay, cool. So I'm here. I've got these dice, and I've got to decide what to do. So, okay. So here's a cycle clock. A debt called in. Dragos is tied up in something ugly, and if he misses a payment or two, things get nasty. And back in business, every salvager knows they're always just one lucky haul away from the next payday. I don't know what these are or how they work. But it looks like these two actions feed into this. So, like, maybe I need to, like, make Dragos successful enough with this thing so that when this thing gets called in, bad things don't happen. Maybe. Okay, so this is risky. Even the rustiest hull can hide valuable components. Extracting... Okay, so dissecting a hull is risky. It could cost me something. So I need to be careful to avoid failures. While manual salvage... I've got a penalty to this. So whatever I put in here is going to be reduced, but it's also safe. There's no negative consequence that can hurt me. So... the question is, I don't know if... like... is this the only thing I can do with my dice today? Like, is there any reason not to use my best dice on these things? Because I'm not sure, I'm going to grab the 5 and put it here. Because 5 is... okay, good. I'm glad it's reminding me it's 50% positive, 50% neutral. And I'm going to put a 4 over here, which reduces to a 3, so something negative could happen, but it's only a 25% chance, and it won't be a bad thing for me. Oh, wait, I'm only doing one of these at a time? I can't do both. Okay. Interesting. Why can't I do both? It's just one per cycle. Oh, wait. Start. Oh, no. I have to choose one to do first. Okay, so let's do the whole dissection first. Let's start this action. It happens. And we made some progress. Okay, so here... okay, now it's going to explain the clocks. Action often progress clocks. Clocks are displayed below the actions that fill them, and they track your actions and how they affect the world. Filling a clock means something good or bad is about to happen. Some clocks, such as the one tracking his debt, are cycle clocks. They tick themselves once each cycle and can complete without player input. Any active cycle clocks will be displayed with the icon for that location. Okay, got it. Okay, so I did that. It worked. Okay, so these were repeatable actions, so I can go through using all of my dice on these. So, yeah, let's try this one now. Start action. Okay, in Citizen Sleeper, you'll unlock drives as you discover more about yourself and the world. Drives guide you by pursuing specific objectives, depending on what path you want to take. You can track your drives. Any tracked drive will place a yellow marker on locations that will help you pursue your goal. Access your drive via the arrow button at the top left of the screen. Okay, so I've got... You're now free to explore Erlin's Eye, make a life for yourself here. Try tracking a drive to help you survive. Look for food to help keep your energy up and a way to recover your condition. Fill clocks to progress stories and find new opportunities. Remember to end cycle at your home when you're out of dice. Use the mouse wheel to scroll along the station. Oh, okay, there's more places I could go. Okay, so here's my... Okay, yeah, so I've got a drive. So repaying Dragos is one drive that I could have. And if I track that, it'll probably send me back here. Like, if I leave here, it marks this and says, hey, you should come over here because this is how you repay Dragos. But if I mark survive, it says I should come over here. Right? I think that's what it's saying. Let's go over here and see what this is. Helion Crossing. Merchants willing to run the gauntlet of the Helion system are rare, but those that do always return eventually. Okay, so this is not actually... Okay, this was just flashing because it was new. This is not actually something that'll help me survive. This just had a yellow flash on it, but not a yellow dot, which meant, hey, look at this. You haven't looked at this before. So this is just telling me that something is going to happen later. Oh, there's a bunch of places Oh, there's so many. There's so many places I can go. All right. So this is Dock B2. This is the Rotunda. Oh, but this right here, this has got a boop on it. Okay, I can kill that. Okay, so local knowledge. The Bright Market is the busiest part of the Eye's lower rim. You can find anything and everything here. So I can ask for directions, which can be dangerous. Or I can explore the market, which is risky. Okay, so this apparently is what's going to help me find a doctor. So I'm going to grab my most successful die, put it here, and start the action. That filled it up. I got a bunch of local knowledge. But what does that mean? Does that mean that something will happen after I end the cycle? I'm really not sure. Oh, yeah, that unlocked this. There's a doctor here. Next comes the call from the enforcer at the door. You shuffle down the flickering hallway towards the open apartment door. You keep your head down and your shoulders high in the queue, trying not to bring attention to yourself. You were thankful for the tip-off that a doctor was operating out of this place, but now you are here, you aren't so sure. The gang enforcers on the door, the flickering light strips, the decaying hab block, they have all made the long queue a test of your nerve. But your options are few. Without a supply of stabilizer, this body, your body, will... You suppress a shiver and shuffle forward to the front of the queue. You try to find something to distract yourself. Let's look inside, not at the enforcer. You lean against the doorframe and look into the apartment. The entryway is dark, punctuated by the green indicators of stacks of sealed containers. You lean in and see the amber light filtering through the far doorway, screened with plastic sheeting beyond which blurred shapes move. The slap of the enforcer's palm against the doorway jerks you awake. Wait your turn, he growls. After a few moments, a figure pushes through the doorway, and you catch a distant voice. Send the next one in, Toshiro. The enforcer jerks his head and you slip inside, passing through the dark entryway and pushing through the plastic sheeting of the far door. The room beyond is bathed in warm light. A floor-to-ceiling transparent panel gives a full view of the Bright Market's sealed roof and the buzzing traffic above, and for a moment you're transfixed by the motion. This is Sabine. Come, sit, comes a sharp voice, and you see a silhouetted figure turned away. Replace the plastic sheeting over the frame of a simple folding bed. You make your way across the room. The figure turns, and as they do, you see an expression of confusion flash across their features. They open their mouth as if to speak, they blink, and then quickly regain their composure. Please sit. They gesture to the bed, then turn to an open case of tools on the table. You sit. Sabine turns, a compact diagnostic scanner of some kind in their hand. They hold it to their eye. Remain still, please. Their tone is clipped and businesslike. You stare ahead, still dazed from their expression when you enter. Fear, recognition, sadness unmistakably etched across their face. How long have you been on the station, they ask, the scanner still to their eye. A few cycles. They nod. It's good you came to me. They set the diagnostic scanner on the table. I'm going to start by assuming you don't know anything. They take your arm and roll up the sleeve, inspecting your synthetic skin. Your body is dying. They say it without ceremony, without drama, but not without empathy. Steve0143 says, please no more reading, just kill me already. You can come back in about, 15 minutes, and maybe we'll be done. SNRP doesn't like to see its proprietary technology let loose. To prevent bodies like yours, frames as they call them, from being stolen, repurposed, or in your case, escaping. They built in a process of so-called planned obsolescence. Okay, so I escaped? Like, I signed up to be a sleeper and then used that to actually escape the corporation? Frames decay rapidly when not regularly injected with stabilizer, one which SNRP remains the sole producer of. They look up. Sound familiar? Yes. Good, that may help. They swap to your other arm, running some thin metal device over your skin. You feel your forearm tremble. I'm sorry, Sabine says, and you're unsure if they mean for the cold touch of the metal or for everything else. Emulations like you, sleepers, as most people know you, aren't classified as people in any of the surrogate systems. You have no rights, no status. They focus hard on the inspection of your arm, and SNRP has no reason to release stabilizer into the market. Sabine looks up as if to apologize again, but they stop themselves. I know little of this is of use to you. They turn away, disassembling the metal instrument and cleaning it. Silence fills the room as Sabine works, and then the silence gives way to tension. You stare at their back, willing them to say something. Anything. Sabine turns to face you. I may be able to help. They sigh, and you see the darkness under their eyes, hear the fatigue in their voice. They gesture to the door. You saw Toshiro outside? You nod. He works for my benefactor, Yatagan. They're influential in the low end. They give me this space to work, run the door, take the profits. At the same time, I have to fix up their enforcers, tend to their implants, sew up their wounds. They look away. But Yatagan has connections, smugglers from the Starward Belt, mercenaries working for the corporations on Ember. If they can source your stabilizer, maybe you'll have a better chance. Sabine sets down their slate, their notes complete. This is dangerous, and it'll be expensive, but I think we can do it. Thank you. Sabine walks away to the window, their face dappled by the shadows of passing drones. Let's just see if this works first. I'll let you know when I have a lead. You nod and leave. Sabine still staring out, unmoving. When you reach the lower level of the market, you look back up through the panels of the roof to see if you can see their face, but the room looks dark against the lights of the market. You duck your head and walk into the crowd. Okay, so I could go back to Sabine's. Okay, so Sabine is going to try to find some stabilizer, but that's going to take some time. So I have to wait now for that to complete. Is there anything else that will help me survive on the station? It looks like Sabine is it. So let's switch away from survive and... Wait, what's build a ship mind? You've heard talk of a fabricator owned by the Ord Exchange. With that and a few fragments, you could build a ship mind core. What's that? I don't know what that is, but let's find out. It's over here at the rotunda. Ah, okay, so we need to wait until Helion Crossing. Except, what's this? Salvage sorting. It takes several cycles to reach the Starward Belt and return loaded with scrap and wrecks. Okay, so basically, this, build a ship mind, looks like it depends on me waiting for a ship to arrive. I could sell components or play the exchange. Oh, gambling? No, thank you. Not my deal. What is this? Oh, street food. So my energy, I'm going to deplete my energy next cycle. So I should have a look at this. Emphas is busy. His broad face uplit by the makeshift gas burner in front of him. With precise, delicate movements, he lays thick chunks of marinated fungus onto a dented wok, his other hand idly tossing a metal bowl of sliced vegetables and some red fleck dressing. The smell is incredible. I really want to have some really well-made TV show set in this kind of far future dystopian world. I really wish somebody was doing this. I love this stuff so much. You watch as he fulfills a set of orders, heaping the fungus with bright salad and depositing it in plastic trays. A stack of chits rattles in his apron pocket as customers file past the burner, handing over payment. Approach. You join the queue, but it's mostly made of off-duty salvagers. Vac suits unzipped and rolled down to expose stained vests, grubby mods, and a lattice of scars and tattoos. They discuss the best food on the eye, the best drink, comparing notes on the bright market dives, their words cut through with heavy spacer slang. Eventually, it's your turn, and you shuffle to the front. Emphas speaks in a deep, even tone without even looking up. First try is free. Thank you. Because I have... Oh, wait. Where did I get $25? I've got 25 bucks for some reason, so I might have actually been able to pay for this. I don't know how expensive it is. The smell is almost unbearably strong as he cooks. The earthiness of the fungus, laced with something so spicy, the smoke makes your eyes water. The heat from the burner is like a bonfire, and your skin hardens in its glare. I know you, you sleepers, Emphas says while he cooks, his voice deep but clear. A hard life, a lot of stories. He glances up from beneath his cap with piercing eyes. I know. Tell him a story. You begin to tell him about your journey to the Eye, and he nods as he cooks, his eyes never leaving his work. You tell him of the confusion, the pain, and also the sense of possibility in its sudden arrival. You tell him of the cold and dark of the container, and the endless cycles spent within it. Now it seems, you tell him, like some dream that you once had, but you can never forget. You tell him that the Eye excites you and scares you, and you're unsure where to walk, where to look, what to do. Eventually you tail off, running out of words. He places the plastic tray of steaming fungus in your hand. Next time we can talk some more, he smiles, but next time, you pay. He slams a heavy hand against the button of the burner's side and it shuts off. The roar of the flame and its impressive heat fades. Next time then, sleeper. He waves you away and begins to oil the wok. Before you turn to the alley, you notice the geometric patterns of circular scars across his forearms, each surrounded with a constellation of glinting pin marks. I guess that's what this stuff is on his body. You walk away, and as you do, you take a bite of the rich, spicy, delicately sweet fungus. Your taste sensors light up like a fusion reactor. You'll be back. Okay, so that refilled my energy. That seems very helpful. Okay, so now I can go back to Emphasis Stall whenever I want to, and I can order fungus, and that costs cryo. Now, I think I shouldn't. Yeah, so I could do this, except I'm full of energy, and so probably shouldn't. And then the low-end gate. What's this? Pay the low-end toll. After some spacers cause trouble in the low end, Yadagon have imposed a toll for entry. No one gets in without paying. Okay, so once I have that much cryo, I can unlock some deeper portion of the ship, but I can't get there now. This looks like one of the last places I haven't looked. It's the Rotunda. Steel dock plans? I don't know why I want to do that. Explore the Rotunda is also risky. So, okay. I've got... My last die is something that could cause negative effects. And so I don't want to do anything dangerous or risky right now. Get to know Emphas, though. That's another option that I have. That's cool. Let's go back to repaying Dragos. I feel like I owe this guy a debt. And I'm pretty sure that all of repaying Dragos is here. So let's go back here and let's spend our last die doing some manual salvage to help Dragos be ready to pay off his debt. So we'll start the action. Positive outcome, back in business. So, okay, so that's, I've been earning cryo. When I'm here, I'm helping Dragos with fill up this clock, but I'm also earning my own cryo. That's where it came from. Okay, cool. So, I'm out of dice now. And so I'm going to go to bed. And what's going to happen is I'm going to lose this pip, which probably puts me down to only 3 dice. My energy is going to go down by 2, which means I don't need to eat tomorrow, but I will the next day. And, oh, wait a minute. What was this? Oh, I missed the shipyard. Ah, okay. So I can assist a shipbuilder. You don't have the connections, but you do have skills, or I can haul materials. Okay, so these are also risky and dangerous. Even if I had come here, I wouldn't have used that 4 die on them, at least not at this stage. But this is a job I can do that apparently probably has some long-term benefit for me. I just don't know what it is yet. But yeah, okay, so I think my first cycle is over, and we are coming up on how long I wanted this episode to be. So let's see what happens when we complete our first day, and then after we see the consequences of that, we'll probably, I'll probably stop streaming this game and leave it to you if you're interested in this and this seemed interesting, to discover it on your own. So yeah, let's end the cycle and see how this goes. Okay, so this time you don't wake up? What? Instead, the ghost of the station, that shifting skeletal ring, surrounds you. For a moment, you're gone, absent from your own body, stretched out across a colorless void. Then the connections begin to establish themselves, threads tugging on the edge of your mind. These threads become vectors of exchange and then extensions as you feel your thoughts slipping away down them, dissolving into the millions of distributed nodes they connect to. You see the station, no, you feel the station, like a web of texture in a smooth black liquid. Touch it. You find a point in the station and you connect to it, pulse through it, follow loops and paths under and around it. You touch more points than you have fingers, and you try, in a moment of impulsiveness, to connect them. The flow passes through so rapidly that you feel yourself carried with it, splitting and separating, eddying and gathering. As you do, things occur to you, things you can't possibly know. You reach out, try to grasp them, try to touch them too. You notice a tugging feeling pulling at you, insistently, as if it were a small child. Somehow it's pulling in two directions at once. You look down. All of a sudden, everything shuts off. You come back trembling into this unfamiliar body, both yours and not yours all at once. You find yourself standing in the container, eyes now open to the dark steel walls. You feel a change within you, a shift. You close your eyes for a second and you feel it waiting there, the station splayed out across your mind, a storm of connective nodes waiting to be explored, and then it is gone. Okay, so they deliberately set it up so the first cycle that I complete, I immediately am down to 3 dice instead of 4. So I'm feeling the pain of this. I want to get that substance that's going to level me back up again. And now, okay, yeah, you can see that. Okay, so these cycles, these clocks that are leading to when these ships are going to dock and give me new opportunities, they're ticking up. I could go eat if I wanted to, but I think that's unnecessary at this point. I can wait till tomorrow. Sabine is still searching. It's going to take her take them 3 cycles to help me out. And so I probably am going to do some work today. I'll probably focus on helping Dragos and maybe developing my own career at the shipyard over here. That seems like the best way to spend my time, but we're not going to do it right now because we're going to end the stream. So this is fascinating. I love that it feels like they spent, I don't know, a lot of their time coming up with who you are as a character, coming up with this really weird kind of person for you to be, and then developing game mechanics around expressing that. And so I'm very fascinated to find out, like, this thing that happens when I go to sleep, the fact that I connect to the station in this weird way. I wonder if there's going to be gameplay that comes out of that too as the game develops. If I'm going to, like, connect to the station, be able to make changes at the station level that go beyond what I can do as an individual walking around from place to place. But yeah, so this is a really interesting, weird, cool game. This is not the kind of game that I'm going to go to if I want to, for instance, be thrilled by excitement and suspense the way that, like, for instance, you know, a shooter like, what was that, Turbo Overkill that I was just playing. This is not that, and I would not go to this for the same reason. This is a game that I need to be fully awake when I play it, because if I'm tired, you know, I can imagine the pace of it being tough. But it is set in this kind of world that I absolutely love. So, by the way, if you like this kind of world too, this kind of very far-flung, ridiculous future, I would recommend, I can't remember which series is first, if it's Ascender or Descender. There are 2 series of graphic novels that are set in this, like, very far future world, you know, populated by robots and humans with, like, the fate of all humanity in question, which I love those. I already mentioned, which I've got right back here, we only find them when they're dead, which is another far future thing like that. Prophet is another series that I really like of comics. Habitat is another one. So all of these, they're all these sort of, like, far future dystopias where there's just the last dregs of humanity are surviving at the far edge of our future, and it's really questionable whether we even have a place to survive in this universe anymore. And it's such a weird, compelling scenario that I just love a lot of the stories that are told there. So if you like that kind of thing, look up those comics, and also check out this game. This is Citizen Sleeper. And let me check out the chat. I think a few of you have been talking. Goonbuggy wants to know if I've seen the Evil Dead game. I'm aware it exists. Asynchronous multiplayer games are the kind of game where you have to probably have a group of friends that you play with to get good enough at the game to have a lot of fun with it. And that's not really the situation I'm in. And so I'm probably not going to play it, but I am fascinated by it. It does look like an interesting idea. Oh, No One says, I'm vibing with your shirt choice. Yeah, then I got my Red Talon State of Decay 2 shirt on here. I like to wear this on streaming days, days when I'm doing a lot of streaming, so I can, like, sort of fly the flag of State of Decay. Oh yeah, so Right Off Court says, it's fitting that I'm wearing a Red Talon shirt on Turbo Overkill Day. Yeah, totally. Goonbuggy asks, can we get chainsaw hands in real life? I don't think so. Anyway. let's wrap this up. So there's a subscribe button. I'm going to link Other Waters right here in case you want to go check that out, which is the other game by the same studio. And if I ever do come back and do anything else with Citizen Sleeper, I will put it here, but you'll probably see a different game there.